Hi guys, it's the Forgetful Scholar. Let's chat about books. One book this week that kind of had me spiraling into a reading slump, so yay for me. Um, if I could give this book 0 stars, I would. 1 star because there was a happy ending. So this is Escaping Execution in my own head. That's what it is. But in reality, it is Midnight Angel by Lisa Kleypas. It has a very pretty step back, which is the best thing I could say about the book. Okay. Let's see. All right. So with Lisa Kleypas, first of all, the title doesn't mean anything. They had one conversation at night where she was wearing a white dress and he said she kind of looked like an angel, but that's kind of it. And I don't even know if that conversation was actually pertinent to anything, but we'll be getting to that. So first of all, titles, they never make sense to me. Second of all, with Lisa Kleypas books, I'm interested, I'm bored, I hate everyone involved, I love everybody involved. So that's sort of like my emotional journey through the Lisa Kleypas books, right? And some of her books I adore, some of them not so much. This was originally released in 1995, so it is an older one of her books, and I did think about that going into it, and I do like reading older books from writers I love to kind of see the etymology of their growth, things like that. I enjoy that. She did grow a lot from this book, I will say. My biggest complaint is the hero. The male MC is my biggest complaint in this story. And just biggest amount of confusion. Like, wow. How do I start this rant? Okay, so in the beginning, started off so fun, right? She's in a Russian prison, about to be executed, right? The villagers have called her witch before because of her witchy eyes, they're like blue-gray, Honestly, I just kept picturing, I'll probably put a picture up, the character from Lost Girl, Kenzie. I just kept picturing her, except not in modern goth garb, but like in 1870 garb, because it takes place in 1870. So, the guard is threatening to SA her, and she like glares at him with her witchy gaze, and he's terrified of her, so he doesn't. So yeah, good. That's good, right? And her maid, her nanny, and her slash maid come to visit her with a vial of poison that's supposed to look like she's dead and not really, kind of Snow White-like. And she's like so desperate that she's willing to die if it doesn't work, right? And she's in prison. I thought for like being accused of witch, but no, for murder. And she doesn't know, she has no memory of that night, right? But there's so much evidence against her that she believes it's true, right? And she's highly religious. Which is also another thing. Personally, I don't like religion in, like, real life religion in my romance novels. That's just a me thing, though, so I didn't take any points off for that, So she takes the vial, willing to either escape or die, you know what I mean? And her uncle spirits her dead body away. The uncle's great, only see him for a little bit, though. And he's going to sneak her into England, because she's alive, woo! Where her cousin Alicia, who MVP of this book, let me tell you, and she's only in like 3 scenes, is going to hide her away and keep her safe. But she can't stay with Alicia because the man she killed, or thinks she killed, older brother, who they describe like this boogeyman and stuff like this, who is the hero in the book Prince of Dreams, is going to come after her and not going to stop. You know what I mean? So she has to hide, right? So there she is. Okay. She's in her cousin Alicia's house, and the husband is best friends with the main hero MC, and is like, hey, Lucas, who's the hero, is a widower. He has a 12-year-old daughter, Emma, who is the romantic lead in Prince of Dreams. I still find it weird that in that book he met her when she was 12 and was, anyway, doesn't matter. And Lucas has a hook for a hand. I don't remember if that was mentioned in Prince of Dreams, but whatever. I was like, oh, that's fascinating. interesting. Let's go. Love to see it. Come on, let's go. And he's like, oh, we need you to take this, hide this girl for us. She's in a lot of danger. She'd be a great governess. And he's like irrationally mad about this. And I'm like really furious. Like, we're in his POV. He's furious about this. Why is he furious? I don't know. I think it's supposed to be like he doesn't want anything to happen to Emma, but like the POV, his POV just doesn't get to that point, right? So me reading it, I just assume because he wants to protect Emma. Like, there's a little mention like, oh, they're involving my daughter in this, and this is, but that's kind of it. He's just like pissed, and I was like, okay, maybe he's just a really hot-headed male lead. Okay, you know, I've read those before. I like those too. You know, let's see, what's gonna happen, you know. So they go to his country estate. Emma is 12. Emma and Tasha, which is, she's going by Karen Billings, but, you know, the heroine is Anastasia, but she goes by Tasha. Emma and Tasha hit it off lovely, right? He has maybe 3 or 4 interactions with her before the stuff gets going. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute and how, like, I was just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Okay. So now I get it, like, historical romance, you have to toe the line of what is historically accurate for societal norms, but also, you know, make it palatable for a modern day audience, right? And this one, you could really tell Lisa Kleypas doesn't have that balance down, because he is a brute. Like, I was like, what is going on? We're supposed to like this guy? Because no, right? And like, maybe, especially since he's like an 1870 English nobleman, like titled, he's like a marquis, you know? So, and he knows that she's not really a servant. And the way he treats her, for me, I was so confused about his personality. I was like, this fits more like maybe if this was like a medieval romance. Because he just felt so much rougher and gruffer and like more of a brute. And I was like, I can understand this is like a medieval romance and he's like a bastard knight that maybe, you know, wasn't raised, has no liking for like chivalry and stuff like that. But then, you know, learns and loves this woman and learns to respect her. Like, that, with him in this, I could have eaten that up, right? Okay. But in 1870, him acting like this, no sir. Like, what? And the writer did a thing that I hate. I hate so much. Like in The Prince of Dreams, the hero cheats on Emma. Hated it, right? And in this, Lucas has a mistress, right? Fine, whatever. But it's on the page, right? He has all these like interactions with his mistress, these emotional conversations with his mistress, that it's like he has more emotional interactions with her than he does the heroine of the story. And I was like, what is going on? Like, she did this, the writer did this before in like the Bow Street Runner books, the 3rd book. It opened up on the hero visiting his mistress, and that scene kind of portrayed his trust issues. So like, okay, we see his trust issues, we get it. There was no reason for this. Like, the mistress wasn't even an antagonist later on, you know what I mean? Like, it just like went nowhere, but we get more emotion with him and his mistress than we do with him and Tasha. So it was really strange. It was just, I didn't like it. I hate when that happens, and it didn't endear me to this guy at all, right? And one of the first one-on-one interactions they have, there's a maid that hates Tasha, whatever. She ends up pregnant, and the footman that got her pregnant isn't going to marry her, so she's going to end up on the streets, right? And Lucas fires her, which was normal at the time, but again, modern day audience, keep that in mind, right? So Tasha goes to basically yell at him because and in this, we see that she's a really sweet, forgiving person. And it doesn't matter that Nan was horrible to her. The fact that she's going to be thrown out on the street is abhorrent to her. So we like Tasha, right? We're already We already feel bad for Tasha because of the prison scene. We're already in her corner, and her being kind and forgiving just adds another layer of, oh, Tasha, you're wonderful, right? So she goes to like dress him down, you know, and he literally loses his temper, grabs her, and shakes her violently. Where she's like, he could so easily break my bones. And she's terrified. And he gets aroused. And I'm like, what in the dark romance did I just walk in on? This isn't a dark romance. What the hell is happening, right? And she flees from him in terror, right? And she's in a room and she's basically blaming herself like, oh, I shouldn't have questioned him, all this kind of stuff, right? Whatever. And then off the page, he fixes the situation with Nan and the footman. He gets the footman to marry Nan so she's not out on the street. We don't get a POV of him feeling guilty how he treated Tasha. We don't get a POV of him making it right by talking to the footman. We don't get any of it. It's off the page. And I'm like, I hate him. I hate him. And if you put the scene where we see him feeling guilty, making amends, I as the reader probably wouldn't have hated him as much as I do right now, right? Because I hate him. What the fuck, you know? We need this on the page. Okay, and then she goes to the library at night because she can't sleep. He's there in the dark drinking. You know, they have a tiny bit of a normal conversation where she apologizes. He does not apologize. He does not feel guilty. He doesn't anything, right? He's like scares her again, I think. I don't know, whatever. It was like a nothing scene. She leaves. He's attracted to her again. Weirdo. Fine. Whatever. And the maids love her. You know, they convince her to go to the May Day festival. And like, you could tell Lisa Kleypas is fascinated by the May Day festival. Because in the fourth Wallflower book, we got page and page and page and page explaining the May Day festival. Yes, the May Day festival is a fascinating folk culture aspect. Especially for an American, I'm fascinated by it. But like page and page and page, not needed. You know what I mean? She's there. He's there. She's like finds him handsome. I don't know why, but all right. He drags her away, kisses her, even though she's like no, and she's scared because of her attraction or whatever. He lets her go. Okay, and then they have a midnight conversation in the garden. What's the first time they have a normal conversation where he's not violent with her or he's not scaring her, whatever. And meanwhile, when all this is happening, he's still fucking his mistress. So for me, it really cheapens the romance, especially when, again, we see on the page more emotional conversations with the mistress than we do with Tasha. And the mistress doesn't even become an antagonist. So like, there was no point. You know, okay, he's a widower and he doesn't want to open his heart again, be devastated again after his first wife's death. The mistress was not needed for that. I got that like page 4. You know what I mean? Like, we did not need the mistress stuff for that. It just cheapened the whole thing for me, right? He knows Tasha is hiding from something that is super dangerous, right? But a ball thrown by the mistress in his home, like she's lady of the manor. And by the way, Emma hates the mistress. And I think as a single parent, that has a huge weight for you if you're going to be with somebody, you know? Anyway. Again, I know, modern day audience, but you are writing for modern day audience, right? So the psychic, he forces Tasha to go up to the psychic so the psychic can read her, forces her, right? In front of everybody. Like a huge party filled with like noblemen and everything, right? The psychic is real and like tells stuff that she was trying to keep hidden, completely devastates her. She pretends like it's all fake and leaves. He goes after her. Alicia, the cousin, MVP, like rips into him. Just tears him a new one. She's like, I thought you had morals. I thought you were a good person, but you're a piece of shit. Like, basically, very classy, calls him a piece of shit and just rips into him. His best friend also rips into him. It's like, we trusted you to keep her safe and you put a target even more on her back. The boogeyman or whatever is going to come after her. We're taking her away and we're going to hide her somewhere because we can't trust you, right? And he's just like, you can't take her where she's like this, like almost like she's a toy of possession. It's really gross. It's not romantic. It's not, I get what the author was trying to do. It did not come off as like he was desperate to keep her in his life. No, because up to this point, he's been an asshole to her. He's been a brute. He's been horrible, to her. So like, and we're even in his POV, like there's no soft feelings about her. Just like he's pissed he doesn't know her secrets. Like, go fuck yourself, And so he goes to see her and sees how devastated she is. Because she's like, oh, he's going to find me. He's going to kill me. I'm dead. You know what I mean? And then he starts to feel guilty. We finally start to see a speck of guilt in his POV. But he doesn't apologize. Like, there's no making amends. And he just decides that he loves her. Are you confused? It's fine. Do you think that I skipped something? I didn't. It's just like, boom, he's absolutely in love with her. There's like the part when they're in the garden where he's like, his walls start to come down that kept him safe from Mary, but that was it. We didn't get anything more to that. Again, we got more scenes with him and his mistress. Like after like, oh, my walls are coming down. She's making my walls come down. Oh, I'll let my mistress act like the lady of the manor and throw on a party. Like, no, that's like the first section, right? First scene. Second scene, Lucas from first scene to second and third scene is like a completely different character. And Lucas in the second and third scene, I like that character. It toes the line between historically accurate for a modern day audience. But we didn't get that in the first part. So like, I'm reading the second and third part where he's sweet, he cares about her, he tries to keep her safe, he, wants to marry her, he's trying to make amends. But all that time, I'm still remembering what a horrible person he was to her in the first part. And he doesn't make amends for any of that. Like, we're not in his POV when that was happening for him to feel guilt or see him making amends for that. He just decides he loves her and is going to marry her. And that's going to be it. And like Tasha, again, she's like all of a sudden in love with him. And, it's a romance novel. And it felt like the romance happened off the page. Like, it just happened off the page. And I'm just like, how can you publish a romance novel where the romance didn't happen in the book? Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If I could give this 0 stars, I would. The only reason it's 1 star, because I like that she got out of prison, like how she escaped prison, and then, like, there was a happy ending. Like, so the big boogeyman finds her. And again, rumors because of the party, the garden party, takes her back to Russia to be killed. Lucas follows her. Lucas finds out who really, Tasha remembers who really killed the boogeyman's younger brother. We get like a really sad background story of him and his brother, which we got in the Prince of Dreams. You'll get that in the Prince of Dreams, so, don't worry. You don't have to, the books stand alone. Like, you don't have to read this to get the other one, He doesn't want to believe it. Lucas proves it. She goes home. She can never go to Russia again. You think the book's done, right? But no. The boogeyman gets exiled and he was tortured. Tasha feels bad because he did help her escape the second time. So she goes there to nurse him back to health. Lucas doesn't want her anywhere near him for no good reason but his pride. They fight. I do like that Tasha didn't back down. I do like that in the third part of the book, we see the Tasha that was willing to risk it all to escape prison again. Because most of the second half of the first act and the second act, she was like this fugue person. She was very kind, very quiet, and she just kind of didn't stand up for herself. Not really, right? So I was like, okay, maybe she was depressed. I could understand that. But as the reader, I shouldn't have to infer that. You know what I mean? Like, it should be there, right? Anyway, she nurses him back to health. Her and Lucas fights it out, and she's like, I'm not property. And he's like, you're right. I'm sorry. Happy ending. I'm just like, how can you write a romance novel where the romance isn't on the page, where we get more emotional scenes with the mistress than we do with the actual true love. You know, romance novels are fantasy. Like, it's the fairy tale. It's the true love soulmate fairy tale, right? And if you're writing there's another relationship in this, okay, but don't make that relationship seem more fuller and more emotionally entrenched than the actual one you're writing. Like, what the absolute was that? So now you understand why this plummeted me to a reading slump, and how, if you know me, you'd be surprised that I didn't even read fan fiction, which is what I always read fan fiction. So the fact that I don't even feel like doing that, thanks a lot, Lisa Kleypas, this sucked. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Because I'm getting all heated again. I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.